Hello there, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Fantasy for the Ages, the show where father and son get together, or sometimes not, because son is not here today, and talk about fantasy, science fiction, and whatever other nerdiness we feel like talking about on a given day. So today, this is a Just Jim episode. I'm coming to you with a topic I felt like talking about. I do have one of our patron supporters in Discord with me today, so I'm not totally alone. We'll have some back and forth comments going. As always, I've got a beverage to enjoy here. That's right. Ami says, I'm never alone. It's good to have that. I'm wondering if you have a beverage because it's always fun podcasting with something to drink. I just went with a good old favorite, a Long Island iced tea today. Mine are getting better though, because I've been upgrading my alcohol. I finally decided maybe I shouldn't just always be using the bottom shelf cheap stuff. So I still have some bottom shelf cheap stuff in there, but as I use that up, then I'm getting some elevated stuff. And you're going to go with a Pinot Noir today. You can never go wrong with wine. Love me some wine. All right. As I move into today's episode, I do want to remind you and encourage you, if you're watching this and you like it, tell us. Like the episode here on YouTube. If you're listening to the audio format, go ahead and give it a rating. Let us know what you're thinking. Again, on YouTube, please subscribe to our channel. We have been picking up quite a few new subscribers in recent weeks, but we want to keep that going. Just the more people who can join us, the more fun we have. And we'd also love you to connect any other way. We've got our Discord server, we've got social media, we even have email, and all those things are listed in the show notes. So come find Zach and I. We're good people. And if you're on Discord, we got a bunch of other good people with us there too. So come hang out. This episode, we are talking about villains from science fiction and fantasy. And I want to clarify something right away. This will mostly draw from content that is really well known, just out in pulp culture in general. There's a few that are a little reaching into more specifics, but most of these things, if you're watching this, if you're a kind of person who would watch this episode, I'm not spoiling things for you. You're kind of going to go, oh yeah, I know that one. Oh yeah, you are so right, Jim. Or, I'm not sure about that one, Jim, but you'll know what I'm talking about. Hey, Jason, welcome. Good to have you. Another person with us today. There's not going to be much you have to worry about. There is one in here that I'm going to list that I feel is a little too spoilery because it's something you might not have read yet. I will give you a big warning when I get to that one. And if you haven't read the series I'm going to mention, you'll like skip ahead a couple minutes or something. I'll do some visual to show. Okay, I'm done now. Come back. But most of these, no issue. So let's talk about these villains. Every compelling story has a bad guy. Now, that may not be a guy. It can be an organization. It can be a force. It can be an entity. It can be a robot. There are all sorts of mysterious or creative things that can be created or put into the role of the antagonist of the story, pushing opposite the protagonist. That's the conflict. Good stories have conflict. Where you've got a good guy to cheer for, you're gonna need something that is the bad guy in opposition, trying to bring the protagonist down. Some of these bad guys, these villains, are masterfully ingenious. Now, they may be just misguided people. So just because they're really good bad guys doesn't mean they're really wicked, nasty people. In fact, some of the best villains out there are ones that, if not for just a few odd turns of fate, could have been the hero of the story and actually think they're the hero of the story. And you can see how so close they are. When an author creates a villain like that, it makes for a great story because you can really empathize with that antagonist. You almost feel bad for him or her. This episode is not about that sort of villain. So we'll be clear. I'm here to mention and highlight some of the villains that I've come across in things I've read, or in one case, something I've watched because I haven't read any novelizations. But these villains who are so despicable, so evil in some twisted way, so crafty and manipulative that we absolutely freaking despise them. We want them to lose, to die, to go away in the worst ways. We want to see them destroyed, humbled, humiliated, devastated. We gleefully hope to see their every plan and dream crumble before them slipping through their fingers. And then we're going to be like, yes, yes, yes. That's the kind of villain I'm talking about today. All right. Basically, when an author has done this right, we experience a viscerally negative reaction to such character. And we can't wait to see that eventual demise. At least we hope for the demise. Thanks in particular to the grimdark subgenre, sometimes they win. So you don't know, but we can still cheer against them. So here is a list of some of the best of these types of horrible villains that I've come across. Ones that it is such a pleasure to despise. You do not feel bad hating these guys. And keep in mind, some of them may have redeeming qualities. There's plenty of villains that are not completely black. And some of these villains may be ones that actually have redemption arcs, where eventually in the tale, they're no longer the villain. But at least for a time, we despised them to the core, and it felt good. Okay, so I'm going to actually do these in kind of order. I'm going to start with my weakest of these yucky ones, and I'm going to work up to what I think are the stronger ones that it is most delightful to hate on. So, and just work my way through. So the first one is actually from YA, Steelheart, from the Reckoner series by Brandon Sanderson. Now, Steelheart is the antagonist in this story, at least one of them, really. And he's supposed to be a hero, but it's very obvious, very quick, he's not a hero. And when you get to learn this character, what he's all about, what his motivations are, it's like, man, this guy sucks. But Sanderson has created a world where some people have become superheroes, but use it for very selfish reasons. So they are supervillains. And this is spoiler light, so I'm not going to tell you why that happens. It kind of happens universally. There's a reason for that. You got to check it out. But when you see the things Steelheart does, oh, he's scum. You really don't like it. And his attitude about it is what leans into your feeling about him, because these kinds of villains are callous. They genuinely don't care. Caring is below them. Steelheart definitely demonstrates that. So that's my first one for you. My second one, everybody's heard of this villain, Emperor Palpatine. Okay, the one-time senator from Naboo who ends up becoming the Galactic Emperor in Star Wars. And not only that, of course, he is Darth Sidious, the Sith Lord, secretly manipulating things behind the scenes. Again, spoilers. If I really spoiled Star Wars for anybody who's watching this, that's embarrassing. Okay, so don't ever admit it. You had to know that. Emperor Palpatine, he brings this quality, especially through the prequels, of being that master manipulator, someone who knows how to work people. And what he does to Anakin Skywalker is dirty, is masterfully done. And Anakin was kind of a chump. You know, he should have been better than he was. But he had these weaknesses in his personality because of his childhood, because of just who he is, that Palpatine was able to identify and use for devastating purposes. But then he goes on, in the main films, the core original films, to just callously be destroying thousands, millions of people, Uh, I mean, anybody who can think of building up a Death Star, whose most significant power is to destroy an entire planet, that's dark, man. That's really dark. You ought to get help for that. Emperor Palpatine doesn't bat an eye. He also doesn't bat an eye about trying to get Luke Skywalker to kill Darth Vader. Son killing father. It's like, where's your loyalty, dude? Loyalty is beneath guys like this. It's what can you get? Who can you use? So, Emperor Palpatine. He is scummy, and we enjoy hating him. We enjoy seeing him die. But does he? Okay, that's another conversation. And it depends if you're talking about the old universe or the new one. All right. Next one I'll introduce here is one I have not read anything of. This is only from TV and film. From the Star Trek universe, I'm throwing in the Borg. Okay, the Borg are bad guys, villains in Star Trek, and they were one of the scariest ones out there in Star Trek: The Next Generation because of the trait they bring forward, that it's totally impersonal. They don't hate you. They're just going to assimilate you.
We are the Borg. Lower your shields and surrender your ships. We will add your biological and technological distinctiveness to our own. Your culture will adapt to service us. Resistance is futile.
And they will not stop. They will never tire. They will keep coming for you. If you think of other books and movies with certain bad guys that are the most terrifying, it's those that never stop. They're relentless. There's no way to put them off. It doesn't matter how long it takes, they're going to keep coming. And that's the Borg. They don't mind that you cause them difficulties because they don't have any emotions going on. They're just doing their thing, and resistance is futile. So that kind of villain, that kind of trait, you also don't mind seeing the Borg cubes blow up. You want to see Borgs go down, okay? In fact, they have an element as a villain that you also can kind of empathize with. You know that all of them used to be people of some race or other free and have now been I forget the word I want to say, but they've been forced in here. Anytime we kill Borg, we freed Borg. That's an interesting element to a bad guy. All right, let me move on to the next one. This is from classic fantasy, going back many years now. I'm going to put Sauron here as a villain we love to hate. From, of course, The Lord of the Rings. Why? Because Sauron knew better. Dude, you were one of the ultimate good guys. You had powers the regular peons didn't have. You are sent by the all-powerful gods as a way to help mankind, help the mortal races, and you were a chump. You turned your back on your responsibility. You caved in, and you didn't even entirely go over to the bad guys. You kind of went over to your own self, your own purposes. That's messed up. Okay, we deserved better. Okay, and then of course your cheap shots on Gandalf. Nobody's gonna appreciate that about Sauron. Of course, if you've read the books, Sauron in the books, my opinion, much better than the movie because of how he really ends. I mean, he's lost. His power is broken, and he gets away, and he goes to the Shire and messes it up too. He's like, this guy was so despicable. So when he finally dies, we're all like, yeah, you so had that coming, man. So had that coming. Everybody celebrates when Saruman dies. But again, the reason you hate him so much is he should never have turned. That just made no sense. He should have been, and Gandalf himself says it, he should have been what Gandalf became. All right, here's another villain we definitely like hating. And I think it's the only one I have on my list. No, I have one other that is of this kind of thing. This is a supernatural one, sort of supernatural one. It's from a Stephen King novel. I'm putting Pennywise the Clown here from It. Pennywise is terrifying. You may have seen the TV series back in the day or the movies that came out much more recently. But if you read the book, it's horrifying. Okay. Pennywise will mess you up. And so when he exactly, we all floated down here. Pennywise, man, it gives you nightmares. And when he finally goes down, we're all celebrating. Of course, in the book, he goes down twice because it didn't really stick the first time. We don't like Pennywise. And if you're like my son, and I think I'm seeing this in the Discord too, any clown is bad enough. Then you make it a terrifying clown with sharp teeth who will suddenly bite your head off. Yeah, that's worst case scenario. So we are anti Pennywise, down with it. Okay, that's a horrible villain, and but he's also devious. You look at the things that he does, and he's, of course, accessing their greatest fears and leaning into that and making them feel small and helpless and terrified, and that's horrible. So we definitely are hating on Pennywise. There's no redeeming qualities in this villain whatsoever. All right, here's another one. This one has some redeeming qualities, which makes you that much more dislike him because he could be so good and instead he's now so bad. I'm going with Hannibal Lecter from Silence of the Lambs and the other books. What's that prequel? Red Dragon? Discord? Am I right there? Red Dragon? Has anybody read that? I think there was a TV series on it too, but I didn't see the TV series. Hannibal Lecter is a very disturbing villain. Extremely. Thank you, Jason. Quality control there. It is Red Dragon. Hannibal Lecter, so intelligent, so refined, so capable of being an excellent human being. And he instead chooses cannibalism, chooses murder, calmly and calculatingly decides why not. It's chilling that he would do such a thing. Are you sure you want Pinot Noir? Maybe you want a little Chianti as we talk about this character. What was it with lima beans? That doesn't sound right. I think I might have gotten close. It's not lima beans, is it? I don't know. Anyways, Hannibal Lecter. This is one of those that, fava beans. Thank you, fava beans.
I ate his liver with some fava beans and a nice Chianti.
Hannibal Lecter's one that basically doesn't get his comeuppance. He gets away, This is scary. We would have loved to see him get his, and at the same time, the way the movie ends is classic. Wow. So, Hannibal Lecter. Ugh. All right. Now let's get to one that I think universally everybody loved hating. Dolores Umbridge from the Harry Potter books. And of course, excellently portrayed in the movies. Dolores Umbridge, a professor assigned by the Ministry of Magic to now work at Hogwarts and straighten things out, get things in order, and is so calmly cruel, especially, of course, to our poor Harry Potter. But she, just goes ahead, and anything that possibly could be fun is slapped away. And the punishments that she gives, again, particularly to Harry, are inhuman, are torture. And she seems so polite and nice about it. Ugh. Everybody hated Umbridge. Everybody was thrilled when Umbridge finally gets hers. Let me go on to another one. This is from science fiction or science fiction fantasy, but from the original movie, also book, movie, Dune, we've got Baron Vladimir Harkonnen. I think it's Vladimir. It might just be Vlad Harkonnen or Harkonnen, depending on how you want to pronounce it. Bad villain who is calculating, intelligent in the moves he makes, sometimes not as intelligent as he ought to be, but definitely devious, willing to betray, willing to do whatever has to be done to increase his power, get more wealth, do what he wants. He's savvy at playing the galactic politics game. And he also has personal illness issues that are disgusting. So take a villain, make him a bad guy, and then physically make him gross. Winning formula for us to hate on him. Ugh. Baron Harkonnen. Yuck. Ugh. All right. That's one where I have to say the original movie, the original Dune movie did an exceptional job of making such a gross, disgusting Baron Harkonnen. Ugh, yuck. Still very memorable. All right, let's go on to the one that is spoilery. So I'm putting it out here. I'm referencing Joe Abercrombie's First Law trilogy. If you've not read the First Law trilogy, you're going to want to skip ahead about a minute. And if you're with me live and you haven't read this, going or something, I'll wave like this when it's time to come back. Okay, you were warned. Joe Abercrombie's First Law trilogy features a powerful wizard named Baez. And he is a villain. You don't know this when you're reading the series, but as you move through the trilogy, it becomes clear. And in the end, he is a master manipulator. He is responsible for almost everything bad that has happened in the world. And it's all about power and self-aggrandizing. And you don't see it coming. So he's smart, powerful, devious, manipulating, all things that you hate. You like him early on. By the end, oh, you want him to go. But he doesn't. There's more to be learned there because there are extra books and another trilogy I haven't read yet, but Baez. Oh, bad. Okay, you guys come back now. That was the end of the spoilery section. Hopefully I'm giving you a chance now to jump back in. Let's go on. I've got 5 left. Yep. Come back in. Come back in. All right. I've got 5 more. These are all bigger than the ones I've said so far. That we just love hating these ones. First one of these last 5, Randall Flagg, the walking dude from Stephen King's The Stand. Randall Flagg is a supernatural being. He also just seems to be a charismatic guy. And he entices people who are kind of the less savory parts of society with promises of power, promises of vengeance, promises of finally being able to get what they deserve, which they don't deserve, but they think they deserve. And yet everyone he brings to him, he twists, he uses, he hurts. Nobody gets things better because of Randall Flagg, because Flagg's priority is just to burn it all down. And so we hate this guy. He's horrible. He's also so charismatic with his following. I mean, he attracts more people than the good guys have. Evil is sometimes much more attractive than good. So, Randall Flagg, totally happy to see him go down some way, you know. You got to read that book to really understand what happens, because it's not all that perfectly clear. But we love hating him. He's evil. Hate this guy. Battlefield Earth, Jason's talking about. Yeah, you know, I didn't read it. I saw the really bad movie. As you're saying, terrible movie, don't watch it. I did see the terrible movie. I haven't gotten around to reading the book. So you're putting forward a bad guy from there. Turl, great villain. All right, there's another one. If y'all think Turl, I don't know if I'm saying him right, is excellent from Battlefield Earth, let us know. It's another great suggestion. My next one comes to us from A Song of Ice and Fire, also known on television as Game of Thrones. Ramsay Bolton, the bastard son of the House of Bolton. And wow, this guy was twisted and disgusting. Mummies, every Game of Thrones character practically. Okay, well, as you say that this is my first of two that I put on here. I could have put more. You're right. But I only put two at this top level. Ramsay Bolton, he's just so sadistic is the good word for him. He enjoys hurting people. He enjoys hurting them physically, hurting them emotionally, hurting them like that in Discord. If he can make people feel tortured psychologically, physically, every way possible, he's having a good time. Okay, you hate people like this. And he doesn't have to be like this. I mean, his life has not been the greatest, but still, he isn't lacking. He just chooses to be a bastard. Okay, so yeah, we hate him. And when he does face his comeuppance, it's a real positive moment. Nobody mourns Ramsay Bolton. All right, next one is one maybe you haven't read. You might have seen the movie, and the movie did this character extremely well. But this is Annie Wilkes from Stephen King's book, Misery. This is a villain that creeps you out, man, because she seems like such a nice person until she's suddenly not. Psychotic Uber fan who's gone off the deep side. Oh, the scene where I don't want to give it away too much if you haven't read this one, but when she takes physical action to make sure the person she's taking care of can't escape. Oh, it's creepy. It's very uncomfortable. And she's just doing what's necessary. She's got it all rationalized for herself, and it's for his best. Oh, wow. We really don't like her once she turns. Yeah, Kathy Bates is the actress in the movie version. It was an excellent movie. The book is great. Annie Wilkes, man. That is a troubling villain, and one you kind of enjoy hating by the time she's gone off the deep end. Okay, two left. Second, right below the top. Oh, I'm being questioned. Is Misery SFF? And I would say yes, because it's horror, which I put as an element of fantasy. So it's how you categorize these things. It's definitely not science fiction, but a kind of fantasy, dark fantasy. And Jason's saying no drama. It's how you describe it. We're going subjective. And as I say all the time, you all have the right to believe I'm wrong. My second from the top, I'm pulling from The Walking Dead, both the comics and the TV series. I read the comics first. I watched the entire 11-season run of the television show as well. The character I'm putting forward here is Negan. Negan is despicable. You despise Negan. He's also one who has a definite redemption story. Negan is who he is, as terrible as he is, for reasons he's completely justified for himself. He is the hero of his own story, and there are some who believe he's doing the right thing, even as he's doing the most horrific things. He always can justify what he's doing, no matter how terrible it is. That's a kind of villain you definitely like to hate, because it's like, no, dude, no. No, you do not get a pass for that. I don't care if you did it for your people. No, never is that justified. You're horrible. And yet, later in the story, you kind of come to feel for Negan. So that's some good writing, actually, and the TV as well. Good writing, good acting, that you can come around for characters so despicable to actually kind of cheer for him. Not bad. All right, my last one is the first one that came to mind when I said I'm going to do an episode on this. A villain that you just despise, you're also entertained by, but when he gets what's coming, you are so satisfied. And you're practically jumping out of your chair with, yeah. And that's Peter Baelish from A Song of Ice and Fire again. Littlefinger. Oh my goodness. Working behind the scenes, constantly ready to betray, to do whatever is needed to advance himself. He causes so much hurt and harm to people along the way, and he's willing to walk over their bodies to do it. He gets everything he wants. And in the end, he thinks he's arrived. And then it's all taken away very quickly, quite painfully, and thankfully in a very humiliating manner. And that's the best part, I think. When he actually gets to see his whole plans, he feels he has nailed it, his master plan of all, and realize he got played. Yeah, because he's been playing everybody for the whole series, and then he gets played. So we love that when Peter Baelish gets taken down. It's very satisfying. All right, so that's what I have for you today. I would love to hear from you. Who did I leave out? Who are the ones that you've read or watched? I'll take that too. That didn't show up on my list. Some characters that are far better. There's one in Discord being mentioned, the Weyland-Yutani Corporation from the Alien franchise. I did start out at the beginning saying these aren't always going to be just a guy, and then I kind of mentioned just a bunch of individual characters, but you are so right. Evil corporations, man, they have no feelings. They do what they want, and they feel quite justified. So that shadow company organization behind all the bad that happens in the Alien franchise, absolutely. That is fitting. We hate them. Kind of funny, I liked some of the actors who were representing the company. Paul Reiser, there's a good example. But you end up, that's not cool. And they're deserving of our hate. Just like that, if you got others, let me know. I would love to have some interaction with you. Put them down in the notes to this episode and respond, or come join us on Discord. Continue the conversation over there. You can also hit us up on Twitter or Mastodon. If you put it on Facebook, we'll see it in a week or two. We don't get there very much anymore. Facebook is a scary place. And Instagram, I kind of only go there for drinks. So I'm not going to put my Long Island recipe because that's already there. But when I come up with the next one, that's when I'll post on Instagram again. Let me run the outro here, just as the visual reminder of the ways that you can get a hold of us, all the ways to connect with us. And again, that reminder, please like the video and subscribe to our channel. Last I looked, we're at 166 subscribers. Small potatoes in the grand world of YouTube, but this is just a hobby for Zach and I, so we have 166 subscribers is kind of cool. Thank you for those of you who have already subscribed. If you're watching this and you haven't subscribed yet, it doesn't hurt you to do it, and you'll make our day. Just click that button. Thank you very much. That's all I got. Talk to you next time.